Page 28, She Loves You. Let's talk about this one. Okay, I'm going to start out talking about the right hand. There's a few things I want to point out. In measure 2, according to their numbers, it's the next to the last measure of the first line. When you're starting this out at the beginning here in the right hand, you're in G position. Okay. Okay. Then in that measure there, for those eighth notes, you got to put your third finger on that. So you're moving your hand up, just so you know. Okay. The rhythm, I'm hoping you can work out by now. It's like at the first full measure in the right hand, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. And of course it's tied. Again, if you're having trouble with the rhythms, take out the ties temporarily. And see if that helps you. And then once you get it, you can put the ties back in. Not a problem, I hope. Measure 4 in the right hand, you're up here. Then the last quarter note, you're in fifth finger, so that puts you back in G position. Gonna do it again. Measure 8 in the right hand. Need those 3 eighth notes. If you want to use the second finger on all of them, that's up to you. I don't like that. I'm going to use a 3, 2, 1. Because it's a more solid fingering style and it will help you out later on if you can get used to this type of thing. Repeated notes, I prefer to use different fingers on them. On measure 10, the first B's with the third finger and the second B's with the fifth finger. Well, I like using different fingers anyway, so that works out great. You're using the fifth finger because it puts you in position for what's coming. Measure 12. For the 2 eighth notes, you use third finger on both if you want. I don't like that. I'm going to use a 3, 1. That way on the next measure, rather than a 4, 3, I have a 2, 3. And then for the eighth notes, it's 3, 2. For me, that works out wonderfully because again, I'm using different fingers on repeated notes. Now, measure 14. You have the thumb playing both A's. It's fine if you want. On the fourth count, make sure that's a 4 and. 4 and then both notes are tied. Take out the tie temporarily if you have to get the rhythm. And then put it in. Measure 16, that note F sharp D, way up. Measure 19, up on page 29. You have third finger playing the E, and you have a 1-5 playing the C sharp G sharp, or I'm sorry, 1-5 playing the C sharp G. I don't care for that too much because I don't like the thumb playing black note when it doesn't have to, because I can do a 2-5 on that just as easily. And frankly, I think that's better to use 2-5 instead of 1-5. Now measure 20, you have a 2-5 anyway. So all you're doing is just moving the little finger down one. On measure 20, on those eighth notes, you have here, I prefer a 1, 2, 1 for those 3 B's. Myself, do what you want, but that's what I prefer. That's about it on the right hand. And the left hand got a little bit of trickiness in its moving around, okay? So when you're starting this, you're in G position, so don't stay that way very long, because by the next to the last measure of the first line there, you got to come down E. See if you can do it without looking down at the keyboard. And then for the last measure of the first line, it's all the way down. And you have to move your hand up into the fall board. So your hand is moving around a little bit. good practice. Your hand's going to move around a lot anyway, so you just as well get used to it. Measure 13, I'll remind you, even though it's clearly marked, that is an E flat. That sounds a little weird, but it is. It's a minor chord. You can handle that, I'm sure. Over on page 29, it is measure 23. It's the last measure of the first ending. You have been here. Now you got to go back in the G position, put your little finger on that G to get ready to repeat. Right. Just point that out for you. Then at the very end, you're here, then just come down to G position. The G and the D, not a problem. As you're learning this again, I suggest you do it without pedal until you know it. And once you know it, once you can play the rhythm and the notes and the fingering and all that junk, then add the pedal in. You don't need pedal on this for the most part. I think what I'm going to do is the same I did on the last video. Is it's repeated, part of it, or most of it. So I'm going to do one time without the pedal, and then when I repeat, I'll add the pedal for that. And so you can hear it both ways. Measure 3. It's the last measure of the first line on page 28. On the pedal markings, you see a simile there with an asterisk. Normally the asterisk isn't part of it, but simile is, or sim, whichever. And that means just keep going, doing what you've been doing. And in this case, it's the pedal that they're referring to. So they're saying just keep pedaling it, which means you've been pedaling it at each measure with a connected pedal or a smooth pedaling. So I guess you're just going to keep doing that. That's dangerous. And frankly, I think it's lazy. But that's what they've done, so that's what you do. You just keep pedaling it once each measure. When you get over to measure 21, then they give you a pedal indication to, lift the pedal up for the last beat. They don't tell you any pedaling for the first ending, so you're not pedaling the first ending anyway, till you repeat it and then you start pedaling again. I don't know, okay. 4/4 time, but it has a pickup beat, so I'll give you 3 counts and then we'll come in and we'll play this together. I'll put the metronome on 60 because of the 8th notes. I want to go nice and slow so we get this rhythm correctly. All right. Play it with me one hand at a time for a while if you have to until you get it. We have right hand is in G position, left hand is in G position, and the foot's on the pedal. 1, ready, go.